Appendix 2, Path to Independence. Ukraine's independence from the Soviet Union was the culmination of a long struggle for self-determination and national identity. The events leading up to the Declaration of Independence on August 24, 1991, were shaped by a complex interplay of political, economic, and social factors. Historical background. Ukraine had been part of the Russian Empire since the late 18th century and subsequently became a republic within the Soviet Union after the Russian Revolution of 1917. Throughout the Soviet era, Ukraine experienced periods of political and cultural suppression, including the Holodomor, 1932 to 1933, the Great Purge, 1937 to 1938, and the Russification policies of the 1970s and 1980s. Despite this, a sense of Ukrainian national identity persisted, particularly in Western Ukraine, which had been part of Poland and Austria-Hungary before being annexed by the Soviet Union in 1939. Key historical facts and events. Kievan Rus, 882-1240, first East Slavic state with Kiev as its capital, 13th century, Mongol invasion and destruction of Kievan Rus, 14th-18th centuries, Ukrainian territories ruled by various powers, Lithuanian Grand Duchy, Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth, Crimean Khanate, Ottoman Empire, 1648-1657, Bohdan Khmelnytsky's Cossack uprising against Polish rule, 1654. Treaty of Pereyaslav places Ukraine under Russian protection, 18th century, elimination of Ukrainian autonomy by Russian Empire, 1917 to 1920. Brief period of independence following Russian Revolution, 1922. Ukraine becomes founding member of the Soviet Union, 1932 to 1933. Holodomor, Great Famine, millions of Ukrainians starved to death, 1941 to 1944. Nazi occupation during World War II, 1945. Ukraine becomes founding member of the United Nations, 1986. Chernobyl nuclear disaster. August 24, 1991, Declaration of Independence from Soviet Union. December 1, 1991, independence confirmed by referendum, 90.3% voted in favor. Gorbachev's reforms and the rise of national movements. In the mid-1980s, Soviet leader Mikhail Gorbachev introduced the policies of glasnost, openness, and perestroika, restructuring, which allowed for greater freedom of expression and political participation. These reforms inadvertently fueled the growth of national movements in the Soviet republics, including Ukraine. In Ukraine, the environmental movement, sparked by the Chernobyl nuclear disaster in 1986, morphed into a broader movement for political and cultural rights. The Ukrainian Helsinki Group, a human rights organization founded in 1976, re-emerged and played a key role in advocating for Ukrainian independence. The Sovereignty Declaration and the August Putsch. On July 16, 1990, the Ukrainian parliament, the Verkhovna Rada, adopted the Declaration of State Sovereignty of Ukraine, which asserted Ukraine's right to self-determination and declared the supremacy of Ukrainian laws over Soviet ones. This declaration laid the groundwork for Ukraine's eventual independence. In August 1991, a group of hardline Communist Party members attempted to seize power from Gorbachev in a coup known as the August Putsch. The coup attempt ultimately failed, but it dramatically undermined the authority of the Soviet central government and accelerated the drive for independence in the Soviet republics. The Declaration of Independence and the referendum. On August 24, 1991, in the immediate aftermath of the failed coup, the Verkhovna Rada adopted the Act of Declaration of Independence of Ukraine. This declaration established Ukraine as an independent, democratic state and marked the beginning of the process of Ukraine's separation from the Soviet Union. Prosody rate +7%. On December 1, 1991, a national referendum was held in which an overwhelming majority of Ukrainians, 90.3%, voted for independence. The referendum also elected Leonid Kravchuk as the first president of independent Ukraine. The dissolution of the Soviet Union. On December 8, 1991, the leaders of Russia, Ukraine, and Belarus met in Belovetskaya Pushcha, Belarus, and signed the Belovetia Accords, which declared that the Soviet Union had ceased to exist and established the Commonwealth of Independent States, CIS, in its place. On December 25, 1991, Gorbachev resigned as president of the Soviet Union, and the Soviet Union officially ceased to exist the following day. Ukraine's independence was widely recognized by the international community, and the country became a member of the United Nations on March 2, 1992. Ukraine's path to independence was marked by a resurgence of national consciousness, the weakening of the Soviet central government, and the ultimate collapse of the Soviet Union. The events of 1991 represented a pivotal moment in Ukrainian history, setting the stage for the country's post-Soviet development as an independent nation.